Peoria Mass Transit District order. We're at 20. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, as I said, we'd like to call to order the May 2nd, 2022 meeting of Greater Peoria Mass Transit District 2105 Northeast Jefferson Peoria 61603 to order. We will have roll call first.
Trustee Wortham.
Present.
Trustee Ahart.
Present.
Trustee Hare.
Present.
Trustee McBride.
Present.
Trustee Sterling Polk.
Present.
We have a quorum now.
And we will have pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is also our annual election meeting of officers. And before we have our election, I would like for Mr. Don Knox to stand up. Mr. Don Knox, who is a Peorian. He's a Richwoods graduate. He has been appointed as trustee for the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District. So everybody, let's give him a welcome. And with that said, we will have our election for the fiscal year of 2023. We have Chris Ahart as board chair, Patty Sterling Polk as vice chair, Jeff Hare, treasurer, Sharon McBride, secretary, Don Knox, trustee. Do we have any nominations from the floor? Do we have any nominations from the floor? Do we have any nominations from the floor? Hearing none, a motion is to be made by one of you to accept the slate that was presented.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so it's passed by the board that our officers for this year are Chris Ahart, board chair, Patty Sterling Polk, vice chair, Jeff Hare, treasurer, Sharon McBride, secretary, and Don Knox, trustee. Thank you very much. And I'd just like to say it has been a pleasure to serve with this board. I wish you much success. And I feel that I have met friends for a lifetime serving on this board. And thank you. So Chris, here you go.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay.
Before you wander off, Councilwoman Beth Jansen would like to read a proclamation from Mayor Rita Ali.
Up here.
Okay, can you?
Well, first I want to say thank you to Maxine for all your years of service. I've known Maxine for a long time, not just with her work here, but with her work with Peoria Public Schools. Years ago when I was their attorney, I got to know her. So I've known her for a long time. And she's a great lady, and I know this board is going to miss her quite a bit. So I thank you for your service to the city and community. You're a great lady. You've been a great mentor to a lot of young women like myself, and you've done a lot for the city. So with that, I have a proclamation here for you from the mayor and the city council. Whereas the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District has been fortunate to have Dr. Maxine Wortham on its board for the past 16 years. And whereas during her time on the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District Board, Dr. Wortham has served on the Finance Committee as chair of the Program and Development Committee. She served 2 terms each as the board chair and treasurer for the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District. As a member of the American Public Transportation Association, she also served on its legislative committee and board of directors. And whereas Dr. Wortham was first named to the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District Board on February 7th, 2006 by Mayor Jim Ardis. Throughout her tenure, she has seen many improvements to mass transit in the Peoria area, including the addition of the diesel electric hybrid buses, new paratransit vehicles, new solar-powered bus shelters, the remodeling of the transit center, and the MOVE transit study, among many other successes. And whereas, in addition to her illustrious career with the Peoria Public Schools, Dr. Wortham has also worked for PCCEO, Peoria Head Start, and has generously given her time to the Tri-County Urban League and serves as an elder for Ward Chapel AME Church. Now, therefore, I, Beth Jensen, on behalf of Rita Ali, the mayor of the city of Peoria, do hereby thank and acknowledge the service of Dr. Maxine Wortham in Peoria, Illinois, on this second day of May, 2022.
Thank you.
We wish you the absolute best.
And I wish you the best.
Okay. And thank you very much.
Perfect.
So you can move.
Move.
You gotta have a chair by you.
We good?
Good.
Good. Keep going.
Yeah, we're good to go, I think. Yep.
Yeah, you need to wait for Desiree.
She should be back. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We can go without her.
Okay. We're going to right into number 4, Chair's Committee Appointments. The CityLink Committee appointments for 2022-2023 are as follows. Program Development, Don Knox. ADA, Patty Sterling Polk. Tri-County Planning, Don Knox. The Policy Committee will be Conflict Resolution, myself and Patty. Bylaws will be Sharon McBride. Step of Bus, Sharon McBride. Sponsorships, myself, and Finance, myself and Jeff. And others may be added if needed. Any questions on that? All right, moving on, number 5. Receipt and reading of the minutes for the regular meeting of 4/11/2022. You get a chance to read the minutes. Any questions or comments about the minutes? Can you take motion? Get a motion.
Yeah.
Can I get a motion to approve said minutes?
I make a motion. Did I second?
All in favor of approving the motion, the minutes as typed up? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Receipt and reading of communications.
We have none tonight.
Report of officers. Any report from the officers? None going on. A report of the standing committees. Benny, go right ahead.
Well, y'all know that we're working on the ADA committee, an event that's going to be July the 26th. We are calling it the WOW ADA event. The purpose of this is to let everyone in Peoria know what we're actually doing in regards to our citizens with disabilities. I have with me 2 WOW members of our committee that are going to give you a brief update on the things that they've been doing. That would be Desiree Carlson and Emily Watson. They are truly extraordinary. They have taken this and run with it. And I have to add Doug in there because he's been doing stuff too. But my two main wows are Desiree and Emily. So I will let them tell you where we are as far as updates.
Right? What we're doing right now is planning, because we want to make sure it's a success for trustee Sterling Polk. And we went and looked at the Civic Center. We're talking about food. We're talking about giveaways. We're talking about Patty and or Emily doing interviews on TV to promote this. Emily's looking at giveaways. We're just really trying to work on it now. Getting our team members on the ADA committee to commit and get vendors to commit to us also. So we have a firm idea of what to expect and not a lot of gray areas. So that's what I'm working on right now. And I spoke for Emily because she's helping Maxine, but she's doing the same too. We're both really trying to get it moving forward. So, and Doug's got the money, so.
I do want to just, yeah, and we're spending it for it. I do want to say that Emily has put together a flyer that is totally beautiful, and you'll be seeing that out and about. For those members that are actually on the ADA committee, the last time we were together, I gave them pens, but I also gave them a pen that says, wow. Now, the wow pens are special. So you have to really be working on the committee to get a wow pen. So if you agree to be at the beck and call of Doug, Desiree, and Emily for this event, I do have a few pens here that I'd be willing to share with you. And those of you that are husbands and want to really impress your wives, you can turn it upside down. It says mom. You can make them think that you got it just for them. So, that would be the end of my report.
Great. Any other standing reports to standing committees? Hearing none, report of the general manager.
By the way, I do have my wow pen on, so
Good job, good job.
sometimes it flips over and just starts.
Yeah.
Kind of had some things in there, but the one thing I wanted to focus on tonight was Thursday night we had a transportation meeting with Tri-County, and it was a different event, and former Secretary Ray LaHood was there and was kind of a speaker. And one of the things he talked about was that, you know, there's a lot of money right now for transit and transportation. And it's got about a shelf life of about 5 years. And then that's when it's going to disappear. Not totally, but you won't see funding levels like we've got now. Or if you do, it'll be really surprising because they've really set a high bar for the funding levels. But like he said, the region is going to have to put together its priorities and figure out what they're going to go after. If they, you know, go after all these small little things, or they don't get their act together, they're really going to miss the boat. Well, then from there, it went almost right straight to the deficiencies of public transit in the region. And I mean, it was just boom, 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 boom. And it was like, some people were like, oh, and they came up to me afterwards, are you doing okay? Or, you know, is this bothering you? And I'm like, no, it was great. It was great information. And then after a while, I focused on it, and it really wasn't about what we do for Peoria and Peoria County, but it was what was going on outside our area. And it was all the other little towns in the gray area. And I was trying to find a gray area slide so I could share it with you, but we'll do that at the retreat. But it's kind of those smaller communities that are really needing the transportation. And so I'm kind of like, well, is that me, or is that Tri-County, or who's supposed to be pushing this one, you know? So I'm going to visit with them and see. But we did get notification today that we're going to start some transportation for Washington, some demand response. It'll be mainly ran through Transdev, and Angel and Lance will take care of a lot of it for us. We got a 5310 grant for a lot of it. They're supplying the local match, so we're just kind of helping push things through. So that'll be the big thing that, and be interesting thing to see what happens is they progress through this on how much we get involved in the, they've talked about more of a regional transit authority and help outside in Tazewell County and Woodford County and some of these small areas. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. So other than that, just kind of plugging along. And I have been invited to speak at a conference about electric vehicles in Chicago in end of May, and then another one, everything electric, in June in Austin, Texas. So all of a sudden I'm on a speaking circuit, and so we'll see how that goes. But so I will be gone a couple days for that, and then a couple days in June for that speaking engagement. So any questions for me? All right, thank you.
New facility update, Beth?
All right, so on phase A, the river building, the exterior here, we're wrapping up the grading and anything to start seeding next week or the next couple weeks. We have the concrete paving wrapped up. Mechanical contractors are wrapping everything up there. Temporary occupancy, we did receive last week. The owner, you guys have started to move in, which is very exciting. We will get final occupancy once the panel breaker for the paint booth is in. We're looking at that probably about June. There was a delay on that from the manufacturer, so the city will come back and review us for final occupancy once that's up and running. Punch list, owner training, and closeouts. We'll work on those over the next few weeks, but final closeout won't be given until after that final occupancy, closer to June. And then we have to be out of the 1978 building by the 6th. So we will start moving into phase B, C, and D. For that demo will be the 23rd, starting May 23rd. And then April 18th, Tobin was scheduled to originally start that sewer front tie-in at the main gate. There was some rejections from the sanitary district. So we are currently working with M2 and IDOT and the sanitary district to get that added work included, and then hopefully have a plan in place. We're looking more like May 19th to get that shut down. April 18th, Nathan did get started on the clearing and installing of the rock for the employee and construction parking. And then they also are starting the alley and removal of the trees this week too. So we are moving quite along. We were able to move some of the issues around with the delay in the Tobin schedule, so it's not hitting our critical path. We're just flipping things around a little bit to help keep moving. And then as far as the budget update, no adjustments to the GMP. We are currently 98% complete on phase A, minus the paint booth control panel, and we are 5% on phase B, C, and D. And we're working on contractual items, and then any finish has been doing some grading in the back, which I'm sure you all seen the back. It looks really good with that extra coming down. So. Any questions?
Okay, good. Thanks, Beth. Okay, report of the Transdev General Manager, Lance.
Hello. In Angel's absence, I'm stepping in for it. If you don't know me, I'm Lance Randall, Assistant General Manager. Before I get started, I just want to say congratulations to you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Hart, for the chair. Patty also, same thing. Congratulations. Just giving a brief report. We don't have the month end done yet, but we will have it done pretty soon here. We have basically been progressing on about 93%. So April's on-time performance report will be around 93%, which is a great thing for us. On average, we've been hitting about 90 on each individual day. So it's been real great for us. We're also working on getting more employees into the door. Right now, we're working with one person just got through. We have probably 2 more coming in within the next week or so. And then after that, hopefully we'll be starting another classroom on the 10th of this month. So that's a good thing. Other than that, I really don't have a whole lot. As of this Friday, we have 1 graduate. So that's one plus side to all that. We have 1 graduate that's actually driving. Other than that, I have nothing else for us right now. Any questions?
I think you're good.
All right.
Thank you. Public comments?
We don't have it.
None. Any old business to come?
Can I add one thing under old business? I think what I'd like at this time is each one of the directors to step forward and say who they are and what their position is here, kind of do an introduction to the board. We'll start with Nick.
Yeah, it's all over. Nick Sandifer, Assistant General Manager, Project Lead on the new building. I pretty much do whatever Doug doesn't have free time to do. So I oversee maintenance, I kind of help out with operations a little bit, assist Emily in marketing type stuff, and yeah, a lot of maintenance and a lot of procurements and just trying to keep the building logistics going. So that's what I do.
Mr. Steve Green.
Good evening. I'm Steve Green. I'm your Director of Maintenance. I've been with CityLink for about a little over 7 years now. And I'm involved in the building construction, fleet management, and facility management of buildings.
Jamie Arbogast.
Hi, I'm Jamie Arbogast. I handle procurement and competitive grants. And any small projects that are handed to me.
All right. Emily.
Good evening, I'm Emily Watson. I'm the marketing coordinator here at CityLink. I've been here 9 years, and I cover anything marketing, public relations, advertising related. If you see us doing any type of ads on TV or radio, I'm usually the one behind that.
Jason Culberson.
Hi, I'm Jason Culverson. I'm the Director of Safety and Training, also in charge of the security down at the Transit Center.
Ken Body.
Hi, I'm Ken Body, Director of Operations, and fortunately, I got all the bus operators. So it's a good group, and we're trying to make it grow because we are in the process of a class right now. So, and it's a problem across the nation, but we do need more drivers. So, but other than that, we're keeping things going and trying to keep up the spirit of Peoria. So, yes.
Chris standing in the back isn't really a CityLink employee, but he's a contractor with STL. So, but he runs all our IT and technical stuff. So, and then of course, Mr. Wambacher, our city attorney or CityLink attorney. They'll beat you later. A couple people we're missing is Shamra Robinson, Assistant Director of Operations. She's at an APTA Mobility Conference. And then Shannon Williams, our HR Director, had the day off, so she didn't make it. Who else am I missing? Is that about it?
That's about it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Desiree. Forgot Desiree.
Around. Good evening, everyone. As you know, I work with you as your board support and as Doug's assistant. I've been here 9 years and I love what I do. So good to have you all. New board again. Thank you.
Now,
Now you're done.
Yeah. Any
Any other old business? Moving on to new business. Resolution 22-36, authorization to apply for a FY22 5339B buses and bus facilities grant. Nick?
Hi, good evening. So the purpose of this summary is to authorize the district to apply for the 5339B bus and bus facilities grant. It's a funding opportunity to purchase more diesel buses. Currently, we have 5 buses that are eligible for replacement. We have 3 others that are really close. So what we want to do with this funding opportunity is apply for 8. We think the estimated cost for replacement of 8 buses, $4 million. So it is recommended that the board authorizes the general manager to apply for the 5339B bus and bus facilities grant to apply for this funding opportunity to replace some buses, get some new buses in there.
Any questions for Nick?
Are these all regular buses or?
35-foot fixed route buses.
More questions? We have a motion?
So moved.
All right, I guess I need a first, I need a roll, no, we need a roll call or not?
Not this one, we're not spending any money yet.
Grand.
Yeah, we're just doing the
Just permission.
application.
Good? Is that what we need to do?
Yeah, we need a second
No,
one.
nobody seconded it.
I'll
Joe.
second.
Okay, my bad. No need to vote. No need to vote? Okay, all right,
No, you need.
but we do need to vote, okay.
Yes, you need a vote. Doesn't have to be roll call, just voice
Okay.
vote.
All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay. I apologize. I'll get it. I'll get it. I told you it's gonna be a mess for a couple times.
That's fine.
All right. Resolution B, Resolution 2237, Employee Appreciation and Safety Banquet, an amount not to exceed 50,000. Jason.
Good evening, members of the board. Prior years, we held employee appreciation and safety banquets, last one being fiscal year 2015. You know, the banquet is the district's time to say thank you to our employees, and recognize them for the work that they've done during the district. The past couple of years that I've been here, we've been able to unhost it because of COVID-19. And now that seems to be winding down, as it were, you know, I think it's time to go ahead and bring the banquets back. As such, we do have line items in the budget to cover this expense, but due to the amount, asking the board to go ahead and approve the purchases that will be for this banquet. And then to allow as many participants as possible, we'd like permission for the general manager to end service early on that Sunday, to allow as many employees as possible to attend.
Any questions for Jason?
Where will it be?
Tentatively, right now, it's the warehouse on State in Washington. It'll be on June 26th.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
And we need a roll call vote for this.
Good
It's
job.
gonna be tricky too.
Good job. I'm proud of you.
Hilarious.
You got that. Gonna be a good team.
Oh, yes, I appreciate
Trustee Ahart,
Approved.
trustee Paul,
Approved.
trustee Lowe,
Knox.
Max.
Approved.
Nah. You can't change your name. And trustee McBride.
All right, motion approved. Resolution 2238, authorization to proceed with employee shuttle services in an amount not to exceed $150,000. Jason.
Pretty much just what you said. Want to allow the general manager to negotiate and enter an agreement with an outside contractor to provide shuttle services. Once we start construction here very shortly, we're going to be closing down the employee parking that's on the backside of the building here, and have everyone parking up in the parking lots up here that will be gravel. To help reduce the frequency of injuries to employees due to slips, trips, and falls, or, you know, having to negotiate the sidewalks that are, you know, in need of repair and stuff like that. We wish to offer a shuttle for the employees to be able to get to their vehicles, which will be parked up there, to the garage. And looking at the cost for that, we do ask the board to allow the general manager to negotiate that contract in amount not to exceed $150,000 for that 1 year period.
that seems a smidgen high, 150,000. Can somebody give me,
We based that on the rate that we had for our last contracted services, which our last one was the security services down at the transit center. So we took their hourly rate, looked at the times that we would be running the shuttle, and then that's how we came up with that figure.
for the year, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And it was interesting, Thursday night at that transportation meeting, Denise Moore was there and she had a couple of minority enterprises that provide transportation. So I'm gonna talk to them to see if they'd be interested in this shuttle service for us. The reason we're not using our drivers is because we're so short that I'm afraid we'll keep them. If they sign up for this, then they won't be out on the roads providing transportation for our passengers. So that's right now why we're looking at an outside vendor. Now, if with the climate changes, we've got sufficient drivers for our operation, then they will take up this part. We won't have to use a vendor.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Right again. Trustee Hammer,
I approve.
trustee Ahart,
Approve.
trustee Polk,
Approved.
trustee Knott.
Approve.
You gotta consider that. Trustee McBride approved.
Motion passed. Next item is discussion of the board retreat.
Okay, yeah, there's been some talk about having another board retreat. I first wanted to make sure First Transit had the contract before I started working on this, so we got past that hurdle. And then the second one was get the new board set, and we got that taken care of. So now I'm kind of looking at what you have in mind for dates, or it'll probably be a one-day event. The last time we did it, we held it here in town during the week. We started, I think we served breakfast and lunch, and we sent you home before dinner, so we only had to do 2 meals for you, but we can do 3 if you want. So we held it out at the Holiday Inn Suites out on Grand Prairie. Went pretty well, so we'll probably try something like that or a similar venue. Started a list of topics, but I'll probably gather more information and see how much and what you want to discuss. Right now, I'm looking at talking about the microtransit service, green fleet, how green we want to get and how fast we want to get green, transit center reuse, some of these regional issues in transportation, fare collection, whether we go fare free or if we keep collecting fares, and then potential dates. So I don't know if you, Christine will be gone all of May, so I don't know if we want to wait till June and shoot a date, or.
May I ask you to add so that people can start thinking about it now? Where do we want to see ourselves as a transit 5 years from now? Because we seem to not necessarily visualize our future, we just sort of kind of fall into it. So I need to know what everybody is thinking about in terms of where we should be ourselves. What are our goals going to be to move us forward in the next 5 years?
I'd like to see some kind of just getting to know each other type exercises, or I talked to Jared about that once, and he thought it was worth exploring. There's some like an Enneagram exercise, just to, not just talk about topics, or just so we can work together better as a team, perhaps.
Like a team building event, sort of, kind of.
Yeah.
Something.
My next thing is that because most of us are relatively new, you guys throw out terms and phrases and numbers that we don't have a clue. what you're talking about. So, it would be nice to have a list of terminology, even if you go as far as to tell everybody what APTA stands for. I mean, we think we know, but like when you talk about,
5310.
the 5310. You guys throw that around like it is like a slice of bread. So I just need that you guys would consider the fact that we are new and we don't know what you've been doing. And it would be nice for you just to kind of give us an overview of the things that you have done, say like in the last 5 years, so that we know where you were and where we want to go.
So one of the things, like, since I've been here for a long, long time, I think, and Sharon too, I think we've been through at least 3, maybe 4 strategic plans over, those many years. And strategic plans are great when you sit down and you create the plan. But part of the purpose behind all strategic planning is that you review those periodically to look back at the plan and say, is this still where we want to be? Do we need to change the focus and all of that? So maybe one of the things, I'm just kind of throwing this out, that the board might want to consider for the future, once we get past this kind of retreat issue, would be the idea of maybe going through a strategic planning, process again, because I know Sharon, you and I have been through at least 3 or 4 of them heavily. Started with some of the people at Caterpillar, did a couple of them. First Transit did one. Tom Lusick actually did one for us back before he ever became manager of the district. He was involved when we had one over in Bloomington, I believe. So that's something to consider. Also just be considered worthwhile to pull out the last one that was done and just circulate it among the board so they can look at it and get a feel for what we were thinking about whenever that was. I think it was probably 7, 8 years ago, maybe even longer. So something to think about.
I know you're tired of my hand. The other thing to consider, not necessarily that could be addressed in the retreat, but I would like to see the current bylaws, update them as well as standing rules so that we know what we have and what we're doing. And I'd also like to see an organization chart to see what is the hierarchy here. Because even though we're the board, we need to follow the hierarchy that's established amongst the organization. And that would be it for me.
Yeah, our plan is to bring in a senior person from First Transit to help moderate and facilitate this retreat. So I hope they get to bring in, his name's Dave Lee. He was head of Connecticut Transit for many years, recently retired, but he's forgot more about transit than I'll ever know. So I hope we can get him to come in. So do you have a question, Don?
I was gonna add maybe a combination of the last 2 comments and something I've done in the past that might tie some of them together. And perhaps if you would bring him in as a facilitator, would be do like a SWOT analysis. So you're identifying, the strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities. Kind of ties into, potential on a strategic plan, as well as I think what Jeff mentioned, it's a group exercise as well. So that might be a way to tie some of these different suggestions together.
Sounds good. So I suppose what I'll do next, or Desiree will do next, is get a hold of everybody and find out what works for them, and we'll put together a plan.
Can I go to Florida first Friday?
Well, that's right, you're going to Florida, okay. Maybe when she gets back. Is there any big push, hurry, months, June, July, sometime before fall?
Just as long as we know it's out there and it's coming. Doesn't get forgotten.
Yeah.
But not too far.
Right, okay. But yeah, we'll figure out when everybody's available and what works best. All right.
Good.
Get me started anyway.
Next topic, financial report, April 2022, board bills approval. Christine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To summarize our April 2022 financial activity for your approval, in April, we district have a total monthly operating expense $3,208,587.38. Compared with our monthly budget, it seems like we spend more. However, it's because we have a lot of outside service expense and also professional service due to the construction. After that, after we finish the project, all of this kind of A&E, architect and engineer service, and also the risk management service will capitalize with our whole building. So right now it seems high, however, later it will become a capital expenditure. Therefore, staff recommend board approve this month's April expense.
Any questions? Can I get a motion to approve the bills as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Roll call vote.
We could go with first names, that would be easier. Trustee Hare,
Approved.
trustee Ahart,
Approved.
trustee Polk, approved, trustee Knox.
Approved.
Trustee approved.
Motion
Thank you.
passed. Last thing is, next meetings are June 13th, 2022 and July 11th, 22. Hearing nothing else, can I get a motion to adjourn?
You got it. Second.
Second.
Good job.
I messed it up one time.